Hi everyone, good afternoon. Uh, we'll just wait for a couple of minutes. We can see that a lot of participants are logging on. My name is Jiva. I'm part of the admissions and outreach team at Plaksha Tech Leaders Fellowship. Meanwhile, I hope all of you are staying safe and healthy, practicing social distancing as well as distance socializing, as Professor Hangel said in one of our last webinars out there. It's my pleasure to introduce our panelists for the day. We have Mr. Hitesh Oberoi, who is the co-promoter, MD and CEO at InfoEdge. Better, we put it as the man behind nowcree.com, 99 acres, shiksha.com, etc. That might be the best way to introduce Hitesh. We also have Srebani Ghosh. She is the program director at Plaksha Tech Leaders Fellowship. Basically, Srebani is responsible for running the whole show at Plaksha, handling the Tech Leaders Fellowship program. The agenda for our webinar today is to, of course, we have Hitesh, who is also the founder and trustee of Plaksha University, as well as Ashoka University. He has contributed immensely to the education sector in our country. So, given the current circumstances out there, we thought this might be the best and the right time to call upon Hitesh, where he can actually share his views on the current scenario, on the jobs out there, the industry, and also the career prospects around AI, ML, data science, and how Tech Leaders Fellowship is actually addressing the large gap out there in the industry. So how we will run this is that Hitesh will start talking about how he started his journey with Plaksha, and then Srebani will run you to the very basics of the program, and then later on Hitesh will be running through the different aspects of career prospects around AI, ML, data science, etc. So over to you, Hitesh, and thanks a lot for joining us this evening.
Hey, thanks, Jiva, and good evening, everyone. I hope I'm audible. So let me just give you a brief background on myself first. So I'm an engineer myself. I went to IIT Delhi, batch of 1994, computer science, and then I, however, never worked in engineering. I went on to do an MBA and then worked for Unilever for about 3 years. And for the last 20 years, almost 20 years now, I've been doing this sort of internet venture along with my partner. So of course, we got funded in 2000. At that time, there were just a couple of million people on the internet. The business we started with was naukri.com. And then over time, of course, as business grew, as we became profitable, we diversified into sort of various other verticals. So today, inside the company, we run naukri.com, 99acres.com, jeevansathi.com, and shiksha.com. And we've also been investing in startups for the last almost 10 years now. Some of our better known investments are 99 acres and Zomato and Policy Bazaar. Besides this, we made maybe another 20 odd, right? Some of which are still very, very young and you may not be very familiar with them. So I've been doing this for more than 20 years. And, for the last few years, I've also been associated with a couple of philanthropic sort of initiatives. Education is something which is very dear to me. Many of us, are where we are today because we got very good education when we were growing up. So I went to a Christian missionary school, and then I went to Delhi Public School, RK Puram, and then IIT, which was virtually free at that time. We paid very little fee, and then IIM, which was also subsidized for us. So many of us are where we are today because we got high quality education, and that is something which I am passionate about. Which is why when a few of us sort of joined hands many years ago to build Ashoka University. The idea or thought process at that time was the other universities in India. Like if I were to go back to IIT today, or if I go to Delhi University today, you sometimes get the feeling that they are stuck in time. They haven't really changed over the last 2 or 3 decades. So much has changed in the world outside because these institutions have support now, unlike 20 years ago. They have not been able to evolve with the times. And as a result, what is happening today is that a lot of Indian students, unlike 20 years ago, unlike 30 years ago, are going overseas for their undergrad education as well. Previously they used to go overseas for their postgrad education, but now they go overseas for their undergrad education as well. Even though, they have to pay maybe 20 times or 30 times or maybe 50 times of what they would have paid for an education in India. And even though they have to stay away from home for 4 years at, a very young age. So, but it's just that the quality of education is so much better overseas that they want to go overseas. Also, it's getting harder and harder. Let's sort of face it, to get into these universities in India, because they haven't expanded, they haven't grown with time, they haven't added a lot of good seats. So as a result, some of us sort of felt that maybe the time was right to start a very high quality private university in India. It's not as if the private sector is new to education. There are lots of private universities in India, but they aren't, while there are maybe hundreds or thousands of schools actually and colleges which are run by the private sector. Unfortunately, it's not. I mean, we still haven't been able to build a Stanford or an MIT here. So the idea was, when we all came together to build something of very, very high quality in India, and that's how we got going with Ashoka. So Ashoka was envisaged as a liberal arts sort of university, modeled on the same sort of lines as Ivy Leagues in the US. So like a Harvard or a Yale or a Cornell or a UPenn. That was a thought process behind Ashoka. In fact, initially, we wanted Ashoka to be much bigger and to be even more sort of all-encompassing than it is today. So we wanted tech education to also be a part of Ashoka, but there was a shortage of funds, and we were sort of forced to sort of prioritize, and that's why we've decided to focus on liberal arts for the first 10 or 15 years. But then a bunch of us who had an engineering background and who were also passionate about tech education felt that maybe we also needed something similar in the engineering stroke technology space as well. Because it's true that the IITs have done a fantastic job. They've been around for a long time. They produce some very high quality engineers and entrepreneurs. But even there, there is an opportunity, because enough sort of people are today going overseas for undergrad. The quality of undergrad education, even in engineering, needs to evolve. A lot is changing in the world outside. I've been sort of, like I said, running this company for over 20 years. And what I've noticed over time is that many of the engineers we end up hiring in our company, and the same thing we hear from a lot of our customers as well, they are very unidimensional in their sort of thought process. They are good engineers, but often they sort of feel very challenged when they move into managerial roles, or when they have to collaborate, or when they have to deal with the world outside. So when it comes to engineering, they're pretty good because they have the skills. But as you rise in an organization, it's not just about having skills. It's also about working with other people. It's also about leading teams. It's also about working with customers. It's also about selling. It's also about having a worldview. So it's also about being a leader. So some of these things are sort of not often sort of emphasized enough, or focused or taught enough in engineering schools. So which is why we felt that maybe the time was right to sort of reimagine higher education, even in the technology space. And because of this thinking, the idea of Plaksha was born. So some of us who are founders of Ashoka, Ashoka is now a well-established brand. It's sort of reached a certain size and scale. It's got professionals sort of running the show. So we felt that maybe we should now divert our energies to building something similar in the technology space, and that's how the idea of Plaksha was born. So today, of course, the Plaksha sort of founding group has grown to over 75 business leaders and tech entrepreneurs across various countries. A lot of people who signed up early on for this effort were, of course, people from IIT engineers, but now, of course, it's much more broad-based. And the idea is not to just set up a technology university, but to set up a full-fledged university with focused or sort of which is well known, or for technology. But the idea in the end is to produce tech entrepreneurs, tech leaders, change makers, business leaders, people who will go and make a difference, people who will go and change things, people who will run companies, be CXOs, become top-notch researchers, and the likes. So this is now becoming a movement. And am I audible?
Yes, yes, Hitesh.
Okay, yeah, because I just got a message saying your speaker is not working. I don't know what that means. Uh, so, so that's really the idea behind Plaksha. And about a couple of years ago, we started with a program for school children, the Plaksha Young Technology Scholars Program. We already had 2 rounds of that program. This program is run for school kids, from class 9 or 10 onwards, 9, 10th, and 11th grade. We ran it at Pathways. We got faculty from Harvard and Northeastern to teach robotics and biology and a few very interesting sort of things to children. Uh, the program actually got a very good response, and that gave us the inspiration to sort of, okay, so is my voice breaking? I just got a message. Or can you hear me clearly?
We can hear you now, Jiva.
Yeah, we can hear you. I think in the very beginning there were some distractions, but it's going smooth right now.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. So that gave us the sort of, so we said, okay, maybe we should try something in the master space as well, and we didn't want to offer just any other degree or any other program. So we wanted to launch a program with a difference. So we looked at how the world was changing, and we realized, and when we did our research and we spoke to a lot of people in India and overseas, we realized that AI and machine learning was going to be the next big sort of trend. And it was, and India was sort of lagging in this area. There aren't. It's very difficult today in India to get very high quality sort of AI engineers or machine learning engineers. It's not easy to hire them. There aren't enough faculty members available to teach such courses. So because this is an emerging field, and this is what something which happens when something new sort of emerges, that there is always a shortage of people to teach. There is a shortage of people to research. There is a shortage of people. There is a shortage of practitioners in that area. And then we looked around and said, okay, who can we partner with to launch a program like this in India? And we sort of narrowed down on Berkeley. And Berkeley sort of course, they looked at our background, they looked at the people involved in the project, and they decided to and gladly partner with us. And so from that sort of thought process, the Plaksha Technology Leaders Fellowship was born, and we are in our year 1, and so far so good. I think we are doing a fantastic job. We were getting very good feedback from the students. We took a batch of 59 kids last year. And many of them are from top institutions. Some of them are from IIT Bombay, some are from IIT Delhi, BITS Pilani, a couple of them from overseas, like San Diego and UPenn as well. A few of them from Ashoka University. Not all of them are techies. Maybe only half the batch is engineers, and maybe another 30-40% are STEM graduates, but about 10 or 15% are non-STEM graduates even. And they've had a great experience as we speak right now. Many of them are doing capstones in different projects in different companies. Of course, COVID is impacting some of the things that we wanted to do, but it's okay. We'll get over it. So all in all, it's been a great start, and we are very committed to this sort of initiative. Like I said, it's a philanthropic initiative. It's not a for-profit enterprise for us. In fact, in year 1, we heavily subsidized the TLS program. And our objective here is to produce something world-class, so that over time, enough students who would have otherwise gone overseas for higher education decide to stay back in India, and we are able to give them the education they would have gotten at a Stanford or an MIT right here. So that's really the objective. The program is also sort of designed a little differently. Like I said, there are 4 pillars to the program.
Jiva, do you want to move the screen to the...
Yeah, sure.
So that Hitesh can continue?
Okay, am I back?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Can you hear me, guys?
Yes,
we can hear you.
Okay, some problem.
continue, Hitesh.
Okay.
You were talking about the pillars of the program. Jiva, just move the screen. Yeah.
Sorry?
Yeah.
Let me try and use my phone connection. Maybe that will work better. Is this better by any chance?
Yeah, Hitesh, if we can mute the other, maybe on the computer, if we can go on mute, so that.
Yeah, this is better now?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I don't know where I... Just one second, guys. Uh, okay. Yeah. So I don't know where I got dropped off.
So you were talking about the curriculum, Hitesh.
Yeah.
You
So,
need-
there are four key pillars to the Plaksha sort of program, the TLF program. One, of course, the first pillar is the technology core, which is, the hard skills you need to sort of do a good job in AI and machine learning, or the tech piece, basically. Then, and like any practitioner would tell you, in the AI and machine learning world, context is very important. So you need to understand the space in which you're applying AI and machine learning. You need to understand the domain. You need to understand how data is collected, how data is sort of prepared, and so on and so forth. So there's a technical and social context piece as well. And then in addition to the AI and machine learning stuff, in this piece, you also get to understand, you're also taught about systems thinking, design thinking. You're sort of exposed to grand challenges and how you can apply whatever you're learning to solving these problems, which sort of are very, very big in nature. And then, of course, there's a real world component. There's like I mentioned to you, there are a lot of our students right now are doing capstone projects in different companies. So most of them are, some of them are doing research projects with professors as well. So we have a 8-week capstone. In addition to this, we also have a challenge lab, which we run for students. We expose them to the idea of entrepreneurship, how to sort of, get the product market fit right. We have a lot of mentoring from real world entrepreneurs and practitioners as well. And then, of course, there are modules on personal development, on self, on leadership, on collaboration, and stuff like that. So the idea is to produce, like I said, not just a regular engineer, but somebody who's, but leaders in technology, who will then go on to become, like I said earlier, CXOs, CTOs, CEOs, entrepreneurs, research heads, and will make an impact wherever they go. So with that, I'll hand it back to Jiva. Jiva, if you can sort of talk about the program or in more detail, and then of course we can have Q&A towards the end.
Yeah, sure.
Hmm.
Thanks, Suresh. Thanks for that. So maybe I will just quickly run through the important timelines and eligibility criteria for the program. So those who are attending the webinar for the first time. So we select a batch of 60 fellows through a 2-stage process. Some of you were already asking questions regarding the eligibility. So if you have an undergraduate degree in engineering or math or basic sciences, and are a recent graduate or a final year student or working professionals, it's not necessary that you need to be from the technical background. As Hitesh rightly pointed out, we do have fellows coming from a non-technical background, but provided which they meet the basic prerequisites. So the prerequisites we are looking for is a basic foundation in mathematics and programming. Programming, it can be any high-level language. It need not be necessarily Python or what. And coming to math, around logical, linear algebra, statistics, probability, etc. So there is an online application form, which is an extensive form you will have. There are a few essay-based questions. Put down your academic credentials, your work experience, other things you have done beyond the academics as well, and a few essay-based questions where we try to understand more about you. Based on this, once you submit a test, you will receive a link for attending an online test. This is a remotely administered test. You can take the test, sitting at your homes. And based on these 2 parameters, we'll be making a call for interviews. And right now we are the last round of applications, round 3, with the application deadline, coming in another 1 month, that is 3rd of May. And our program will be starting by mid-July 2020. And maybe Hitesh, over to you. You can continue talking about what do you think about what's the current scenario in the industry, job market, and also how TLF is actually coping up with what we are calling. Hitesh, you're on mute.
Yeah, so like I sort of mentioned earlier, so like let me just go back 20 years. So we were born more than 20 years ago, and the technology trend we rode at that time, and why this company exists, which is the company which I run, is because the internet suddenly became very hot, and it was a new technology trend, and it was very disruptive, and we were able to ride that trend, and we benefited from it immensely. And not just us, but several startups were born in that era, and many of them are sort of around even today. And what I've seen over the last 20 years is that every now and then you get these trends, you sort of have to be prepared to sort of adapt and ride these trends, because if you don't, then your business could get disrupted. So 10 years ago or 7-8 years ago, smartphones and mobile became a big trend, and luckily for us, we were able to migrate our business to the phone. Today, 80-90% of our traffic on all our portals is on the phone. And if we had sort of lagged, and if we had sort of delayed that, we may not have existed. But thanks to this, just like the internet before that gave birth to millions of businesses or hundreds of thousands of businesses, the smartphone boom also gave birth to maybe hundreds of thousands of businesses. There are millions of apps out there, and there are so many sort of developers now working on the phone, on Android, on iOS. And as a result of this disruption, so many things which are not possible earlier have become possible, right? And today, this is, I end up spending, I'm working from home, I end up spending 10 or 12 hours a day on my phone now, right? So that's how ubiquitous this technology is. And today, like I said earlier, the next big trend, according to us, or maybe there are several trends, in many areas, but one thing, one trend which is, I think, relevant for people like us is this whole boom we are seeing, or the whole advancement we are seeing in areas like AI and machine learning and data science. And this is why is this happening? So let's just step back a bit. Now there are several sort of factors at play here, and they've all come together, and as a result, we are seeing this boom. So one, for example, there's a lot of data. So because there are lots of internet applications, everybody's collecting data, and the big applications out there have tons of data on which they're sitting. So for example, we have 60 million resumes in Naukri alone, right? We have millions of people visiting our websites every day. We know what they do. We track their behavior. We track their journey. We track their paths, etc., etc. So every day we collect, terabytes of data, and this data is going into our data lake. And we are sitting on this data and doing nothing with this data, right now as we speak. And ditto is the case with every other business in the digital sort of world, whether it's an Amazon or it's a Google or a Facebook. Every business which is sitting on tons of data has a lot of opportunity. And because we are spending a lot of time on these platforms, we are also creating much more data than we were creating earlier. Like I said, technology is everywhere. So today you have CCTVs everywhere. CCTVs are recording everything you do. So that's video data, right? And you need somebody, you don't want people to be sitting there and viewing CCTVs every day. You want people to you want algorithms, you want software to work on this data and to generate insights for the people for people and for our customers. So the point I'm trying to make is there's a lot of data everywhere. This data is being captured, and this data can be used to personalize the user experience, to improve service delivery for customers, to build new products, to generate more insights. And for this, you need data engineers, you need data scientists, you need product managers, you need researchers, you need people who understand this, who know how to work with this on these platforms, these new data platforms. What we are seeing in our space is that every company is now investing in this area, right? So every company which is sitting on data, whether it's a fintech company or a health tech company or an edutech company or a company like ours, or a general search engine like Google, or a social media company, every company now believes that the next sort of growth engine for them is going to be the data they're sitting on, right? And which is why you're seeing a whole and also, what has happened in the data science has advanced, algorithms have advanced, computing is getting cheaper, storage is getting cheaper. Therefore, all this is becoming viable and possible, right? And it's not as if all this requires a huge amount of investment anymore, unlike 10 years ago. So some of these, because of these trends in technology, stuff which was not possible 10 years ago is becoming possible today. And people who are able to ride this trend and benefit from this trend will be able to take their business to the next level. Even government is today sitting on tons of data. And I'm sure all of you know about what they're trying to do. They're processing this data at the back end. They're using high-end analytics to figure out who should be paying more tax, etc., etc., etc. So of course, so we all believe that there's a big opportunity here, and a lot of jobs will be created in this area going forward. A lot of new companies will be created in this area going forward. So in the next 10 years, you will see a lot of AI. I mean, that's already happening, but you will see many more AI startups. You will see many more data science startups. You will see a lot of consulting work happening in this area. You will see a lot of companies setting up teams of data scientists and data engineers. So to sort of and hope that they will do magic with the data they have. Like I'll tell you, our company, for example, we now have a data science team of about 25 odd people. It's only 25 people because we are not able to hire a lot of high quality data scientists. We are not able to get them. Our product managers are now being trained. They're expected to work on data and generate new insights from the data and build products around data, using data. We have a lot of our new hires in engineering are what we call data engineers. People who need to who know how to work on the sort of new languages and tools out there, which can help with big data. And so there's a of course, every now and then you could have a slowdown. Like right now, we are seeing some sort of disruption because of COVID. But the general trend is that there is a shortage. That this is a big area. Companies are going to be investing heavily in this area. There is a shortage of people with the right skills. And therefore, if you at this point in time in your career are able to acquire some of these skills, hopefully, and from the right sort of places, and if you are taught by the right people, you will be able to leapfrog and move your career into the next orbit. So that's my thinking on this piece. Back to you, Jiva.
Thanks, Hitesh. That was pretty informative. I would actually now invite Shabani to run you through what has been happening at Tech Leaders Fellowship, especially our fellows are currently doing their capstone projects. So a few glance on what kind of projects they have been working upon. Over to you, Shabani.
Yeah, thanks, Jiva. Can you just yeah. Okay, as Hitesh mentioned, this Tech Leaders Fellowship is a one-year fully residential program right now at our campus in Gurgaon, wherein students spend 8 terms. Each term is around 5 to 6 weeks each, either in classroom or what we call with the real world experience. Of which, the capstones, which is the equivalent of an internship, that is for 2 months or 8 weeks, which started in February 3rd week and is due to end in April. So we have, if you see the slide which is in front of you, we have, our fellows. We call our class, Tech Leader Fellows. So they're called fellows. We have them working on projects in about 25 companies across a variety of sectors. You can see the diversity on the screen. So it's all project specific. There is a project which, the companies kind of float, and then there is a proper shortlisting process by the companies, interviews, and that's how they were selected for this capstone. They spend this on site with the various, at the various companies' offices. And there are some students who also prefer to do these projects with professors, with various faculty. Jiva, if we can have the next slide, please. Yeah, so these are some of the capstones. We have about 15%, about 10 fellows doing their projects at various universities, either in the US. We have 3 in the US, physically in the US, and we have some working remotely also with professors in the US. And then we have the Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, Ashoka University, etc. We also have, in the next slide, as you'll see, about 6 students who are working on their own startup, because entrepreneurial spirit is something we encourage in this program. And we have these group of 6 students working on, you can see the variety of the projects which is there, ranging from photo sharing to healthcare and non-invasive brain stimulation, to the world of finance and debt. So really, it's a wide variety of capstones, and this is a very integral part of the course. It carries a lot of, as we say, credits, so it's graded, and they come back to campus after 2 months of working on these capstones, and that is when they need to present it to the to a capstone committee, so to say, and following which they are they graduate on to the next term. So that's about all on the capstones. And if I think we have about half an hour for your question answers. If you want to put in more questions, you can share it in the Q&A box, and we are here to address it. Jiva, can we just have the questions?
Yeah. So just a few housekeeping before that. All the participants who has got some questions, please use the Q&A tab here, so that some of you have started typing in the chat box there. So it would be great if we can actually put in your questions on the Q&A tab. So we'll start with an anonymous attendee who was asked, I am from MSc in Computer Science. I'm eligible for this fellowship.
Okay, should I take that?
Yeah,
sure.
sure.
So most of our students, as Hitesh mentioned earlier, we have a variety of students, though a lot of them are STEM graduates, that is science, technology, engineering, math. We also have students who have come from backgrounds like economics, architecture, etc. But essentially, we need an undergraduate degree, in a relevant field, and you need to have certain, a particular good level of knowledge of mathematics, of programming in some high-level language, and following which we have this test, as Jiva mentioned earlier, which kind of is indicator for us to see where you stand in the selection process. And we do have master's candidates, so yes, you are definitely welcome to take the test and go in for the application process.
Sabini, if you want to see the questions, or should I read it out?
I think read it out, because I'm having, yeah.
Got it. Sure. Someone is asking if is proficiency in Python, R, or Java mandatory? I have skills in Unix, SQL, etc.
Okay, so in the first term itself, which is slated to start in July of this year, we do have some basic foundational courses on Python, on programming, Python, and mathematics as well. However, we do have, like I mentioned, the cohort, even for the current fellows, they are quite a diverse cohort. So some people will come with a particular level of proficiency in, in languages, and some will need to work on it. But before the program starts, we will share prerequisites on what is needed, on on what base level of understanding we need. So we will share prerequisites on things like mathematics and programming.
So we'll take two questions together. We have another attendee asking, is there any charge for the fellowship, or the scholarship is given for this fellowship, and do we get scholarship? Yes, so there is a program fee. The tuition fee for the 1-year program is 9.5 lakhs. Along with that, we have a very liberal policy on scholarships. We offer scholarships ranging from 25 to 100% on the tuition fee for all the candidates who are getting selected, and this is calculated both on merit come need basis. So once you submit your application, there is a financial aid form that's get activated on the back end. You will have to put in a request there, a statement of need, and all the relevant documents which will enable the financial aid committee to take an informed decision on how much scholarship you can get. Hope that helps with both the queries. So Dhruv, given it's all packed in just 1 year, what level of technical depth one can expect? Also, what are the technical prerequisites? So I think we have already covered the prerequisites. Maybe Hitesh, if you want to just talk about the technical depth,
yeah.
And what about the placement assistance post fellowship?
Uh, so, placement assistance, of course, we provide placement assistance. In the current batch, like I said, we have capstones. We have a 2-month capstone. So almost all our students are now placed with companies or are doing research with professors. Some of them will get absorbed in these companies, but we also run a formal placement process. So there are maybe 100 or 200 companies out there who are like right now, as we speak, looking for data scientists and engineers. So it's not going to be a problem placing the batch. And through our founder network and through our contacts, we are well connected to almost all these companies. And of course, we are also hoping that, these companies and therefore also get built over time, and we will have a lot of people coming to us on their own as well. But yes, of course, this year, we may face a challenge because of COVID, and therefore the placement process may not get over in 2 days. It may take longer to place students, but I don't see this problem going forward. So placement, we'll sort of, we have a career development cell. We prepare students, we help students prepare for placements as well. So I don't think that will be an issue. As far as technical depth is concerned, so firstly, you need to be passionate about data. You need to be passionate about machine learning and artificial intelligence. Secondly, you need to have some sort of background in programming. You don't have to be an ace programmer, but you should have some exposure to programming. And you should have some basic working knowledge of higher level math. That's a prerequisite to get into the program. The program has a very sound technical core, and it's a very intensive program. So we have 8 terms, So what we've been hearing from our students in this batch, and maybe Shabani can talk about it, is that most of them are pretty happy with the kind of so if you are an engineer and you've already had some exposure to machine learning and data science during your engineering, I think. You'll be okay. There's a lot of technical depth, but there won't be any repetition. But if you're not an engineer, and we likely to send you some pre-reading material, you need to prepare before the program so that you're up to speed, right? Technical depth is not compromised. There are a lot of courses which on the technical side, which we will take you through. In addition to those, to the hardcore machine learning and AI courses, there are lots of other courses in areas like design thinking and systems thinking, which are also part of this program. So we spend a fair amount of time on those courses as well, and those areas as well. We also have something on cybersecurity, for example. And then we have a lot of lectures and a lot of material on the technical, on the social context. So, for example, how can you apply AI to healthcare? How can you apply AI to politics? How can you apply AI in other areas? So there's a lot of focus on that piece as well, right? But Shabani, but I am not that close to the program. But Shabani, so if you want to add to that, please feel free.
Yeah, no, I think Hitesh, you've nailed it. You've exactly spelled out what it is. So yes, a 1-year program anywhere in the world at a good university is never easy. It is a lot of hard work. It's a lot of, there's a lot of intensity around it. But yes, I think both the founders as well as the architects of the curriculum have been very clear that this is a tech program. There will be no compromise to the depth or the quality of the the graduates at the end of this program. So the program really, as Hitesh mentioned earlier on in the presentation, focuses on 4 pillars. The first is the core technology courses, and these are there across every term. And then, of course, there are courses around, leadership. Then there are more technological and social, what we call courses around the technical and social context. So like, grand challenges which face, the world or India, like applying AI or machine learning to healthcare, right? Which is so apt right now. Along with all this, as we mentioned, we also have what we call the real life journeys, which are either the challenge labs or the capstones. And so at the end of this, we aim to graduate holistic tech leaders at the end of 1 year.
But I'm sure we can share the curriculum with you. So, you know,
Yeah,
we've already run the program
definitely.
for a year. So we can share the, you know, curriculum with you. I mean, the courses we ran this year can be shared with you. Not a problem.
Yeah.
So we will take up other career-related questions first, and maybe we can come back to the other questions later. So Akshay is saying that he has completed his MBA and is currently working in a tech-driven role at OYO, but eventually he wants to do his own startup. And how will the fellowship might help him?
Okay. So okay, I'll just give a little bit, and then since Hitesh is an entrepreneur, he can give us more flavor on that. So like I said, we already, as you saw, there are quite a few students in our cohort who have plans to start their own startup. They will not be sitting for the placement process. We do encourage through various, we have a concept of mentorship for all our students. There are one-on-one mentors where, we do a matching of what the career aspirations of each student is, and either from our founding community or from other eminent industry leaders or entrepreneurs, we assign mentors to these students, right, who can guide them on their journey. Apart from mentorship, we have something called Challenge Lab, which was mentioned earlier. This is a 12-week program which is in the which straddles across 2 terms, and basically every student is taken on a mini entrepreneurial journey. The class is divided into groups of 5. They work with a very eminent professor of Berkeley who teaches this as his profession in Berkeley. And along with that, we have another of our founders who is an entrepreneur, and so these both of them are the faculty. And what do the students do throughout these 12 weeks? They think of an idea, then they work, they find out, the ultimate aim is to pitch this idea to a jury. So they do the market survey, they do, they figure out the finance requirements, etc. So it's actually as if they're starting a startup with an idea, and how they finally will pitch to, to get funds to a jury, which is again a very diversified profile. Apart from that, we also have some, like I said, a lot of guest lectures from entrepreneurs, and we have certain courses which have a big entrepreneurial bent. Yeah. Hitesh, if you want to add some more to that.
Yeah, so like I said earlier, the idea behind Plaksha is to produce, entrepreneurs and technology leaders and change makers and research heads. And, people who sort of run a business before or have some exposure to entrepreneurship I'm sure you understand that building a company or running a startup is not just about writing code. You need to do a lot more if you want to sort of, start a company and scale it. You need first to start with, you need an idea, then you need to put a team together, then you need to raise funds, then you need to take your product to market, you need to go and sell, then you need to hire people. So, it takes a lot more than, just engineering or knowledge to sort of build a company. And that's really the idea behind this program. And which is why this program has these 4 pillars, because like I said, it's not just about writing code. It's not just about learning a few algorithms or learning how to program. That is taught in a lot of engineering colleges. The idea is to sort of build leaders, technology leaders, who can then go on to do great things, right? Now, of course, not everybody may want to become an entrepreneur. Somebody may want to become, some of you may want to become a CTO. Some of you may want to become, may want to have a career in product. Some of you may want to go into research. That's fine. But the idea is to produce sort of holistic, leaders who understand the big picture, who have a perspective, right? And that's how the curriculum is designed. And also through the program, like Shrabani mentioned, we expose you and to a lot of industry leaders and entrepreneurs. Some of whom, so I think in the last 1 year, maybe, I don't know, I don't have the right number, but maybe 50 or 60 external speakers would have
50.
spoken at Plaksha, right, with students. I've been there a few times myself. And then, of course, you have mentoring as well available. So you are each, so all the students have a mentor who they can sort of interact with whenever they want. So the idea is to sort of, build perspective. The idea is to give you a lot of exposure so that you feel more comfortable about doing some of these things. I'm,
in this batch, we have at least 7 or 8 people who want to go down that path, right? At some point in time, we may also set up a small fund, to assist or to sort of the students who sort of want to become entrepreneurs. But that is a little later, and maybe we don't have one right now, but we can certainly also connect you. What we can at least do is connect you to angel investors and VCs if you want to go down that path.
Yes, I think that also answers one of our attendees' question on funding opportunities for candidates with startup ideas. And we'll move on to the next question. So we have another attendee asking, based on the grand challenges, would a fellow be allowed to pursue work in a particular field? He wants to know how much the faculty will be assisting him throughout the year. Sabini, if you want to just touch upon the grand challenges and the...
Can you just repeat that, Jiva, just a little slowly?
Yeah. So he's asking, based on the grand challenges, would a fellow be allowed to pursue work in a particular field? For example, if a fellow is interested in fintech, would the faculty be able to assist the fellows throughout the year?
So see, as part of the curriculum, we already pre-decide because the Grand Challenge courses are 4 courses over 2 terms, and we kind of pre-decide. So for the current cohort, they had, the 4 topics were agriculture, fintech, healthcare, and another one which I'm missing. So even for, so it'll be pre-decided, the 4 topics, which even, we are in the process of designing the curriculum for the next year. But the faculty who teaches these and whoever is teaching, that particular topic, they're really experts in that field. So if you'll obviously have to, address the requirements of that particular course, be it, agriculture or fintech or healthcare or energy. Yeah, energy was the 4th one. But if you want to, speak to the faculty about any other help you need on, on addressing grand challenges, etc., I'm sure they or the team will be able to help you. But specifically, it is a part of the curriculum, and it'll obviously, it'll involve classroom discussions, exams, assignments, etc. So it's part of the curriculum.
Yeah, we have another candidate asking about the higher education opportunities other than job opportunities after the program.
Other than job opportunities, yeah.
Higher education.
Okay, so we have a lot of students. We have not a lot. We have about 3 students who will not be going in for placement again. They will be pursuing higher studies. Some of them have already, one of them has got into Harvard for this particular year. Another one has got into a European university for the following year. So it really is a good stepping stone also to doing the next level of a master's, degree wherever.
So Deepak is asking, he's a pharmacy graduate with a physics, chemistry, biology background and has an interest in AI. He would like to know if he has a chance for enrollment. Of course, definitely, Deepak. We encourage you to go ahead and submit your online application and see how it goes forward. So how confident are the faculty about being able to travel and deliver the courses? Would there be a change in the faculty?
Okay. So that's a good question, given what the world is going through right now. Over till term 6, which was February, till the fellows left for their capstones, we've already had around 30 faculty from mostly international and also some local universities come and teach the students. We still have 2 terms to go, and obviously it's now pretty obvious that the international faculty will not be able to travel. So we have already made arrangements to move these terms to online teaching. Faculty has already been informed and they're agreeable to do that. Term 8, which is in the month of June, we are still hopeful that maybe if travel opens up, they can still travel. If not, we have made provisions for online. And similarly for term 1 of the new academic year, which will be end of July, we will keep options of online open, but that's not really our intention. Our intention is that we hope things will normalize and faculty will be able to travel.
We have a question from Pratnya asking about an expected placement scenario considering a potential recession in jobs because of the current circumstances.
Okay, so as obviously as Hitesh said that yes, in any given the talk about recession, that it is always concerning, but then our fellows have very specialized skills, and there will always be a requirement for data scientists or ML engineers or research associates or product managers. So we feel this is a skill, and the kind of so we are already in talks with a lot of companies, and so far we have not seen any anything to be really concerned about. Of course, a recessionary environment, in a recessionary environment, any job hunt will always will always be a cause for concern, but nothing to keep us too worried. And we are still receiving a lot of positive responses from companies. Our placement season will be in the month of May and June because our students graduate in June. Hitesh, if you want to add.
Yeah, if I may just add to that, see, we've seen recessions in the past as well. And the one thing which I have noticed over the last 20 years is that no recession in India lasts for a very long time. So India is at the end of the day a growing economy, and most recessions in India don't last for more than 2 or 3 quarters. So yes, placements do get impacted in a slowdown. But if you look at all the high quality institutions out there, like IIT, like the IITs or the IIMs, even in a recession, they're able to place their students, right? It will take a little longer than normal to place them in a recession. Normally, we would have placed our class in maybe 2 days, but maybe this time around, maybe this time it'll take a month or maybe 2 weeks to place them, right? So, but we are confident because, like Sabri said, because the students are of a very high quality, and the program is also has been well received by industry, that we will be able to place them this year. Next year should be easy in my view because hopefully things will go back to normal in if not 3 months, in maybe 6 to 9 months. And companies, what tends to also happen is that if companies tend to cut down on their hiring in a slowdown, but when the market opens up, they're all caught napping and they all go back and start hiring aggressively. And that, in my view, that may happen next year. So next year, I mean, the world is hoping that things will go back to normal in 3 to 6 months. And if that happens, then the demand for AI professionals, in my view, will only go through the roof.
Hitesh, if you can add upon, we have a question from Dhruv again, on the kind of roles, graduates from DL.
Yeah, so 3 or 4 types of roles.
What do you know?
Roles as data scientists. So in our company, like I mentioned, we have a data science team, and these are sort of specialized guys. Their expertise is more on the algorithmic side. So these are these roles are in big demand. These professionals are in demand because companies are sitting on data and they need to sort of figure out how to use this data. Like I said, like for example, we in our company need to match jobs to resumes. So we have 60 million resumes, 500,000 jobs. So a lot of data. So how do you match the right job to the right CV is a huge challenge, right? And it's the number one pain point for both job seekers and recruiters. So we have a bunch of people working on these kind of algorithms, and and this is the case with every company that has data. Then of course, data engineers, engineers who understand how to handle a lot of who understand how to handle big data. But these are engineering jobs. These are hardcore engineering jobs. So these guys are also in demand. And then of course, product managers. At the end of the day, we need to figure out how to use this data to sort of build products, to generate insights for our users. And this is where the product managers come in. So product managers increasingly need to become comfortable with data science and with these algorithms and with the big data techniques out there. And then of course, researchers as well. So there's a lot of research happening in this area, and enough research opportunities are also available with research labs like IBM and a few others. So these are sort of this is how you can sort of start, and then of course over time, like in any company or in any sort of career, if you do well, you can go on to do much bigger things.
We have a couple of questions on the computational facilities available, the lab or the the cloud data. So Sabri, you want to take that question?
So by lab, when we said challenge lab, it's actually a name given to a course, what we call, access. I mean, students have access to a wide range of information, and they're actually working. It's the name of the course is Challenge Lab, which I said is like a mini entrepreneurial journey, and they use it to think of an idea and then take it to market, pitch for funding, etc. So that is what the Challenge Lab is. And otherwise we have in-house classroom facilities for most of our courses. A physical lab as such, like you have in most engineering colleges, is not something we have or we need.
For people from non-technical background, how do you help them along with the program? So we have additional classes to help people who actually need support. And Stephanie, if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, so like we said, we share the prerequisites well before the program. We advise those coming from non-technical backgrounds to to kind of do some to brush up on their knowledge and their skills. But of course, we start off with like I said, some foundational courses in mathematics and programming, and we have seen from our experience that maybe the first couple of terms, the ones from the non-technical backgrounds, they do need some catching up to do. But then finally, it is a lot of hard work, but we've not really seen anybody at the end of term. I mean, the program is nearly going to be over for the present cohort. We don't really see anyone struggling by this stage.
And we have a question on if the course is recognized worldwide, will it be considered as a master's degree?
So we call it as an equivalent of a master's, and given where our students are going to be headed to, the certificate is going to be co-signed with the University of California at Berkeley. So it is what we call an equivalent of a master's level program.
So we have a candidate who is planning to apply in round 3 or by also including the GRE score. However, the exam got postponed. So he's worried if this is gonna impact the application with of not having a GRE score. So we have options where you can submit your GRE and GMAT scores, but it's just to get some additional information. A lot more weightage is given to the applications, the essays, and the other credentials you highlight in an application. So I would say you need not worry much about the GRE score, and can go ahead and submit your application. Prajna has a question on after the fellowship and with 1 year of work experience, what's the scope of getting a product manager role?
So a lot of our students who are currently working on the capstones, that is the internships which we talked about, a few of them actually are freshers, and they have got product management roles even in the internships. So that's not really a cause of concern. If you're able to prove yourself in the interview, if you're able to go through what the company is looking for, then being a fresher, in fact in our current cohort we have 78% who have work experience and 22% actually freshers.
We also have a couple of questions around the residence aspect. Where do they stay, and also if they have a family, can they stay together?
Okay, so the program is, like we said, what we do not, what we insist on is it's fully residential. There's a reason for it. Like I said, it's any 1 year program in a reputed institute is extremely intensive, and so is our program. The reason we have a lot of students from Delhi NCR who stay at the residences and not at their own houses, because there's a lot of work around teams. There's a lot of, late night submissions, etc., where they need to work, jointly with the teams, or they need to, consult with professors. And so frankly, handling the program while commuting to and fro from their houses is just not feasible. The residences, we have a tie-up with, with OYO for the residence arrangement, which is about 10 minutes away from the campus, which is currently in Gurgaon and in Udyog Vihar. We have certain married candidates in our current cohort, but we do not have provision for them to stay in the residences with their families. This is even our married students, they do live by themselves in our residences.
We have a lot more questions coming in, even though we are running short of time. So we'll try and pick up the.
Yeah, maybe we can pick up a few, and the rest we can, we can handle it on a one-on-one basis.
Yeah. So an attendee has a question around, how we help them for pursuing their master's or doctoral studies abroad after the program.
So, well, you will get, if you do well in the program, you have access to some excellent faculty. Like I said, these are world-class faculty. We have a lot of people who have applied to this program because, in the interviews when they were asked that, why are you applying to this program? They said because, for some reason they could not go to the US for their masters. But by this program, if by enrolling in this program, they get access to, like I said, we've had 30 visiting faculty already, and most of them from some very eminent names. We have tie-ups with Berkeley, with Purdue, we've had professors coming from Ann Arbor, Michigan, from, Maryland College Park, from Oxford. So it's really a wide variety of top faculty from anywhere in the world. And if you do well in that particular course and you get a good recommendation from the professor, applying for a master's or a PhD abroad, a good recommendation carries a lot of weight.
So we have like 5-6 questions around the preparation, that the topics for the test. See, the online test has MCQ questions in math, which covers linear algebra, statistics, probability, etc. NEC analogy would be an RS Agarwal standard. So these are very basics to, these are not eliminatory tests, just to ensure that you have the prerequisites so that, you would be able to get the best out of the program once you, and a couple of programming questions as well. Someone wants to know what is going to happen to Plaksha Tech Leaders Fellowship once Plaksha University or the campus, comes up in Mohali. What is going to happen to the program?
So I'll let Hitesh answer that. Hitesh, you're on mute, I think.
Right. So Plaksha, we are targeting to open Plaksha University in Mohali next year. If all goes as per plan, the university should be up and running around July, August next year. But if we're keeping our fingers crossed, work has come to a halt right now because of the lockdown, but we are hoping to start building the campus once again. Now, of course, so this is one of our flagship programs. It's got a very good response. Last year, I think in year one itself, we got some 850 applications. We were able to take only 59 students. This year, I'm sure we'll get many more applications. We are very confident of placing the batch. Like Shrabani said, the faculty is world class. We put a lot of partnerships in place with Berkeley, Purdue, a bunch of other universities. We have professors coming and teaching. We also have practitioners coming and teaching at this program. We've had people from Google Labs, etc., for example, teaching courses. And the feedback from them has also been has been great. So they were very happy with the batch, right? So anybody who's sort of the first batch, people who interact with the batch, faculty members, mentors, industry professionals, they've all been very happy with the quality of students. So this is, in our view, this is this program, and in fact, we were under pressure to expand the program this year to increase the class size, but we don't think we are ready, so we don't want to do that this year. But going forward, maybe this program will not only, maybe it'll sort of move to Mohali. I don't know whether we will sort of run this program out of Delhi or Mohali. That decision is yet to be taken. But I'm sure the program will only grow in size. So maybe from 60 students, we'll go to 120 or more. And we may also introduce new masters, once we have the campus sort of up and running. So that's pretty much pretty much the plan. But let's see how it evolves.
Yeah, I think we have, answered a lot of questions, the general questions out there, and majority of questions around, career prospects after TLF. Few other questions pending out there. We'll be happy to take those questions offline. Unfortunately, we have run out of our time. So you can write to us or even, call us on the numbers provided. Once again, I would like to thank Hitesh and Shrabani for taking out time, to spend this evening with our potential candidates who are looking very keen and looking forward to, hopefully joining our program and take their career trajectories and journey forward. Thanks once again, Hitesh and Shrabani.
Thank you, Jiva, and thank you, everyone. And be prepare for the test, and be safe.
Okay, so we are signing off for now, and we'll be staying connected to help with further queries. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.